Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our first pre-K town hall of the summer. So we are excited to see all of our pre-K families and parents and friends today. So this is going to be the first of two sessions. Today, we are going to be talking about what do you learn in pre-K, because we still hear from people sometimes about why do I need to go to pre-K? Is it really important? And the answer is yes, it is. So we're excited to have you guys joining us today. So the first thing we're going to do is to show you how to walk through and find where is your zone school. So on the next slide, you're going to see how to find your zone school. Your zone school is the school that is closest to you. If you are new to Baltimore City or this is your first time enrolling, you're going to want to go to the schools tab on baltimoreCitySchools.org, and then you can type in your address. And as soon as you type in your address, it's going to let you know what is your zone school. And that will be the school where you can go and you can sign your child up to register them for pre-K. So now that you know where your zone school is, we actually want to play a little game with you guys because we're early learning and we like to have fun. So you can look on this slide, you've got a QR code. So if you can get your phone out, go to that QR code. You can scan it with your phone, or you can go online to menti.com and you can type in this code. Now, once you go and type in that code, we want you to shout out your school. Let us know what school are you representing. I'm not sure if you guys know this, but we're doing a challenge with all of our schools, the Great Pre-K Challenge, in which we are really encouraging them to reach out to their families. They have made really cool TikToks. They've done school songs. So if you're on here and you are representing for your school, please shout them out so we can see who's in the building with us today. And if you don't know what your school is, you can go to that zone school that we showed you, the zone school finder that we showed you on that last slide. All right, I can't wait to see what schools are represented. All right, I hope you guys are writing in there what schools you're representing so we can see who's going to lead in our Great Pre-K Enrollment Challenge. And just so you know, there's still time to register. There are still seats available, so we hope to see you with us this fall. Okay, well, let's get started. So as you all know, we have been in this pandemic for a little bit of time now. And we have had to make sure that we can still have our students come into school and that they can still do it safely. So what we wanted to do today was to show you just a video of all of the things that we have done so far in our pre-K classrooms in order to make them as safe as we possibly can. We, of course, have had to make some changes for our extra safety precautions, a little extra hand washing, and of course, some mask wearing. But we wanted to show you guys this quick video so that you could see that learning is still happening in pre-K and that it is still a really great place to be. These days in pre-K, it looks a little bit different. Our kids are wearing masks, obviously, and they are still socially distanced, 6 feet apart. They're still having a great time. I think kids are excited to be back. Parents are really excited to be back. Kids are, I think, really happy to be able to see their friends, especially they spent the whole year kind of looking at their friends on Zoom, so now they finally get to see them in person. So essentially what happens is we want kids to come in and they all have to kind of do a health and safety screening. It's pretty typical. You do it a lot of different places.
I have to make sure that you're not feeling sick this morning, okay? All right, you ready? You're not feeling sick, are you? No, you're not feeling sick? No upset tummy? No?
Come in, they take your temperature, and for our little ones, we're going to ask them some questions. Do they have a fever? Is their tummy hurting? So those are kind of be the questions that they're going to ask them. And then they're always going to make sure that our students are washing their hands 20 seconds at least. So sometimes it's nice to have them sing a song while they're doing that.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L-O-N-O-P.
That's a really great way to remind them. And of course, kids are always wearing their masks. When they go outside, they can take their masks off as long as, of course, they're still socially distanced, which is great. But when they're in their classroom, they've got their masks on and our desks are still distant. We actually have an online application, so you can go online, you can type in your zone school if you're not quite sure what your closest neighborhood school is, and that will let you know what your zone school is, and then you can register online. You have to make sure you have your documents, birth certificate, proof of income, things like that. If you have some additional questions, you can email enrollment@bcps.k12.nd.us, or of course you can always call city schools and ask your enrollment questions, and you'll likely get to the enrollment office or to my office, the Office of Early Learning, and we'll be happy to answer those questions for you. I would say that we have figured out how to keep our students safe when they are in our school buildings. And so city schools, being in our buildings, is really one of the safest places that you can be. Our teams have done a really great job of making sure that our classrooms are set up for our students, that there's hand sanitizer, soap, all of those things that are available to our kids. And again, there's such great opportunities in pre-K. The learning that happens here is really just amazing. And so I think there's no better place that your 4-year-old can be this upcoming fall than in City Schools building in our pre-K classroom.
All right. I don't know who that lady was, but she looks like she knows what she's talking about. So we did want to kind of shout out our schools. It looks like we've got Francis Scott Key in the building, Lakewood, Sinclair Lane, Medfield, Thomas Johnson, Morrell Park. So keep on sending those schools so we know who's represented and who's here with us today. All right, so first we want to talk to you guys about what do we learn in pre-K. There are so many things that we cover during the day for our students. And so we really wanted to be able to dive into that with you guys today. So who better to hear that from than one of our very own Baltimore City Public Schools teachers, pre-K teachers. So we have with us Mrs. Sam Gergella, and she's going to talk to us a bit about what do we learn in pre-K.
Hi, everyone. So there are 4 major domains that we teach and assess in pre-K. They are language and literacy, mathematics, social foundations, and physical well-being and motor development. You may be thinking, where are science and social studies? Good question. In pre-K, all content areas are integrated. That means that children are rarely learning just one thing. They might be learning how to count, but at the same time, they are using skills to count. For example, caterpillars. How many are still caterpillars and how many have created a chrysalis? The skill is math, but the content is science. Children might be reading and writing about community helpers. The content is social studies, but the skills are language and literacy. All of these skills are integrated into purposeful play to ensure that students are not just honing skills and behaviors, but also building content knowledge. So what do we learn in pre-K in social foundations? So some of the skills that we learn in social foundations are emotion identification, responding to a distressed peer, conflict resolution strategies, persisting with tasks, following directions, information recall and connection, play and work with peers, social behaviors, and interest development. In our mathematics domain, we have some more detailed skills, which include number words, object counting, subitizing, recognizing and writing numerals, completing a set, decomposing numbers, sorting and classifying, identifying, comparing, and measuring with attributes, and two-dimensional shapes. In the physical well-being and motor development area, we focus on locomotion skills such as control, coordination, and balance, or like gross motor skills. We also focus on tool and object manipulation, writing, tool grasp, and personal care and basic health. And then our last domain, which is language and literacy, we work on responding to questions about a text, retelling a text, rhyming words, syllables, onsets, and rhymes or phonemes, uppercase and lowercase letters, letter sounds, name recognition and writing, writing to convey meaning, word meanings, and purpose and situations. How do we learn in pre-K? There it is. We just play all day. It is mostly true. But what we'd like to know is that the play you see is purposeful. Teachers use the standards and curriculum to plan lessons that will help the children develop skills using hands-on play-based activities like you see in the pictures. Children learn best by doing and experiencing. They need to apply knowledge to make it stick. They need to get messy. This, by the way, is why we need a change of clothes at school. Please send one, even if you're confident your child will not have any toilet mishaps, because we like to have fun. Play is how we all learn best. In a relaxed, safe environment where fun is encouraged, your brain can practice, make mistakes, and work out misunderstandings. Children develop vocabulary, empathy, and interpersonal skills by playing together. They learn how to do something incorrectly without getting upset. They learn from their mistakes. They learn how to support one another's learning. Playing independently gives children time to experiment with knowledge too. How high will these blocks stack before they fall down? How much water goes in this cup before it overflows? Why does mom need me to be quiet when she's on the phone? All of these skills students learn through playing.
All right, thank you so much for sharing. So that is from an actual pre-K teacher, everyone. And so thank you also for giving us that hint about making sure that we have the extra change of clothes so that we can actually have a really great time while we're at school. All right, so I think there were a couple of questions in the chat, so we want to make sure that we are answering them for you guys. So let's see, what were the questions that we had?
All right, let's start with the first one I see here. Are your pre-K programs all day? And then it says 8 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Yes, so our pre-K programs are full day. They actually follow the bell schedule of the school. So when you are looking at your zone schools through that zone school finder, whatever that bell schedule is will be the same schedule for the pre-K at that school.
All right, and then how many pre-K spots are there across the city?
Well, in Baltimore City, we are super fortunate to have a ton of seats. So we have roughly 4,200 seats for pre-K students all across the city. So if you are interested in enrolling, and I hope that you are, you can register through our online application, or you can call your school to see if there are still some seats available. We hope that you enroll early so that we can make sure that you get a seat at your zone school. But if there aren't seats at your zone school, you could also go to one of our other schools that is close by to get a seat there as well.
Awesome. Are pre-K kids going virtually this year?
Oh, this is a really good question. So we know that we had to go virtual last year, right? Because that was really what was safest for our students. At this time, though, pre-K, moving forward, we are going to be in person. One thing that we know about little people is that they really learn best through a lot of hands-on stuff, hands-on learning. So we really want to make sure that we are opening up this opportunity for our students. So pre-K will be all in person for next year. Now that is as of today. Obviously, we never know if things are going to change. So that may change later, but as of right now, all of pre-K is going to be in person for next year.
Great. We have a question about a later birthday. My child was born in October 2017. Can he go to pre-K this year?
Oh, so that's also a really good question. So in order to be age eligible for pre-K, you have to turn 4 by September 1st of that year. Now, if your child's birthday is between September 2nd and October 15th, they may qualify for the pre-K waiver. So the pre-K waiver is for students whose birthday falls within that window, and the student needs to be low income or homeless or have an IEP. So if your child's birthday is between September 2nd and October 15th, and they meet those other 3 qualifications, then they would be able to get a pre-K waiver. And I did just want to make one additional note about those bell schedules. Those are all under review right now. So those are going to be updated pretty soon on the website. So check back there if you're looking for the bell schedules for your school.
All right, and let's just get one more question for this section, and then we'll get some more questions later. If I already filled out the application online, when will I know a decision?
So you will be able to hear back from your school's enrollment official. So usually you'll get an email that says that your application has been fully processed, or you'll hear from someone at the school who is kind of welcoming you into that school community. So that's how you will know. If you feel like it's been sitting a little long and you haven't heard anything, please feel free to reach out to your school and double check and just ask, make sure that they received your application, that there weren't any errors or any challenges with it. All right. So are we ready to do our next game? I think so. Okay, so now we've got a Kahoot for you guys. Anybody play Kahoot? I really enjoy Kahoot. Okay, so this time, if you can type in kahoot.it into your device, on your laptop, or into your iPhone. And we've got a really fun game. We want to see, again, who's been kind of paying attention to us for this first part of our town hall. So if you've not played Kahoot before, you're going to get a code. And then once you get that code, you can type in the code, and then you'll be able to join us in this game. And it's got fun music. What can you ask for? Whoa, we have so many people participating. All right, we're gonna get started so we can see this game. All right, Drew, mommy, you have to reach out to us. You are the winner. Nice job. Woo-hoo. Congratulations. So we've got prizes because we want to make sure that everyone knows what they need to know. So reach out to us, please, Drew, mommy, because we have a prize for you. All right, let's get back into our town hall. So we spent the first part talking about what do we learn in pre-K. Now we want to talk about why do we learn what we learn in pre-K. So as we said earlier, we learn, our students learn best through play. And in pre-K, we like to call ourselves foundation builders because all of the basic skills that students need for success later in life, they really do learn once they start in pre-K. This is really where our skills are developed. So for example, when we have something like rhyming, when we do rhyming in pre-K, we're making up fun songs, or we're doing silly word games, or you know, the banana, fana, whatever game. All of those things help us build on skills so that our students will soon learn how to rhyme. And once students are able to learn how to rhyme, then they can start putting different sounds and words together, which will really help them later on with some of their skills. Next slide. So this is one of the examples of what we start doing with in pre-K when it comes to something like rhyming, how rhyming and the sounds of words and the sounds that they make when we start putting them together. So we have like this, the word like rough, right? Rough doesn't actually sound like what it looks like, which is kind of hard for students sometimes. But when we practice in pre-K, we practice some of those sounds, then we start to know that whenever I see that word rough, I know that the end part of that is uff. So now I know when I see a word like tough, or I see a word like enough, I already know what that will sound like. So these are all skills that your students are going to need when they get into second grade and third grade, and they're really reading a lot more texts. We want them to be able to look at these words and to quickly know what they mean instead of having to sit down every single time and try to sound them out. All of those skills that they're eventually going to need in 3rd grade and 5th grade, all of that starts right there in pre-K with us. Now, you may see this word and say, this is a very big word, and no one in pre-K is learning this word. But we can learn this word in pre-K. This is a very long word, ambidextrous. But if we know what the different parts of the word mean, then anytime that I encounter this word in anything that I'm reading, I can piece together what it means, and I can begin to have an understanding for what this word means. So if I ever see any other words that have ambi in it, or another word that has dextro, now I can recall what that means. So this is why we just wanted to show you some of the reasons why what we learn in pre-K is so incredibly important. For those of you who have older students, who have kids who are in 5th grade and 8th grade, all of the learning that they need eventually comes from the basis and that foundation that they have in pre-K. So you may see kids singing silly songs or making up some words or rhyming together, but all of that is the basis for being able to tackle a word like ambidextrous when you see it in a text later on. So how will you know what your child is learning while they're at school? Well, this past year, the Office of Early Learning began using a platform called Seesaw. And Seesaw is a platform that allows for teachers and students to post their work and to share what they have done. So teachers are able to post assignments for students in Seesaw. Students and families are able to complete it virtually. This was incredibly important to us while we were all still virtual learning, but we really like the tool, and it's a great way for parents and teachers to be able to communicate. So we are going to be using it again in the fall. So we are very excited about that. In addition to Seesaw, which is kind of an everyday tool, it looks very much like social media. So it's really easy for a lot of folks to use. We also have our parent-teacher conferences, which happen a couple of times a year, and just a plug to make sure that you participate in those parent-teacher conferences. And then we have report cards, which come out quarterly. And we'll talk a little bit more about the pre-K report card, because it looks a little bit different than your traditional K-12 report card. So you may have heard different words like assessment for some of your older students. Well, we also have an assessment in pre-K. In pre-K, that assessment is called the Early Learning Assessment. We call it ELA for short. And this assessment is designed for pre-K students. It is based on observations that the teacher can do of your child while they are in class. So it's not necessarily that the child is sitting down with paper and pencil, that they just sit down one day and they have an assessment day. It is their teacher and their para kind of watching the student all throughout the course of the day and the week and the school year to see what skills that student has worked on. And so those same academic areas that we talked about earlier, language and literacy, math, social foundations, physical well-being and motor development, all of those are assessed by the ELA. And so we do this about 4 times per year. And we do this because it's really important. We want to see what our students know, and we want to make sure that our students are ready for the beginning of kindergarten. In kindergarten, our students do the kindergarten readiness assessment, or we also call that the KRA for short. So we wanted to show you what this looks like. So this is what the ELA looks like. As you can see, we call this a continuum. So it goes all the way from level A over to level 5. So every student that comes into our classroom falls somewhere on this continuum. What the teacher is going to do is really spend that time throughout the year to figure out where the student falls on the continuum, and then what they can do and what you all can do in partnership to move your students up. So we want to see growth in our students throughout the course of pre-K. It doesn't matter where our students come in, what skills they come in with. We know that pre-K is the time that we want to embed a lot of really great learning and exposure for them. So we make sure that during this year that we are watching them and seeing how they can grow And when you are meeting with your teacher, your parent-teacher conferences, or the work that you're going to do on Seesaw, all of that is to help figure out how to move your students through this continuum so that they are ready for kindergarten. Oh, yep, social foundations. So how will you know that your child has learned? So this is just a bit more of a breakdown of that ELA for you guys so that you can see this is what the teacher uses for that tool. So as the teacher is monitoring students during center time or even while they are doing their lessons, they can monitor students to see what they know, and the students have an opportunity to show what they know. And so that's how teachers can figure out where to score students on this continuum. Oh, all right. I think we've got more questions, and you guys have really been sending these questions, so we appreciate it. Keep them coming.
Okay, let's see. I know that you offer free lunch. How does that process look for pre-K?
So all students in Baltimore City get free lunch. So I don't think you have to do any extra or anything special. The way that our students eat lunch may look a little bit different for this upcoming school year. Again, just kind of based on our health and safety regulations, but you should definitely check in with your school and check in with your teacher as to how students are eating lunch for this upcoming school year.
My child is 4 and is now potty trained, but his speech is a little bit delayed. Can he be accepted to pre-K?
Absolutely. Come on, come one, come all. If you have some concerns for your child, you could, there's a process in city schools called Child Find. So if you have a child between the ages of 3 and 21 that you may have some concerns about, or you think may have, like you said, maybe some speech delays, you could call that Child Find number. You could also find it on our city schools website, and then you will get directed to the Child Find process, which basically kind of initiates a referral just to kind of investigate what your concerns are. But you should absolutely enroll in school. The best place for a child to be if they have maybe some speech delays is to really be surrounded by a lot of language for them to keep learning. So definitely enroll, absolutely.
What if a child isn't potty trained?
If you're not potty trained, you can still come. You do not have to be potty trained to come to pre-K. That is a myth. That is not true. That is false. If your child is not potty trained, we still want them to come to school. So please come. It's totally okay.
What are some of the health and safety protocols for little ones?
Great question. So our little ones are following pretty much the same health and safety protocols that our older students are following. So of course they have to be socially distanced while they're in the classroom. They will be wearing masks also while they are in the buildings. Sometimes students are able to go outside, and as long as it is safe and appropriate, they can take their masks off to have mask breaks. Of course, everyone is washing their hands constantly a lot. As we shared in the video, hand washing, wearing a mask. If your child hasn't been doing this or they've been home, so they haven't had to do this a lot, it may be something that you want to start practicing because they are going to have to wear a mask for a significant time during the day. So one thing that we heard that some parents were trying was every time kids got online or got on their iPad, that they would have them wear their mask just to start getting used to doing that. So that's something that you can start working on now, is just practicing wearing those masks and practice washing hands. But those are, our pre-K students are going to follow the same health and safety guidelines that our K through 12 students are following.
Will parents be able to participate a little bit more fully this year by going inside of the school, coming on field trips, things of that nature?
Oh, that's a really great question. I think you should definitely check in with your school as to how they are doing that. Obviously, when our schools came back in the spring, we really wanted to make sure that we didn't have a lot of extra folks who were inside of the buildings. So I would definitely check in with your schools to see if those health and safety regulations, if they are now allowing parents to participate in more ways. But keep on checking back to City Schools website as we update those health and safety guidelines pretty regularly based on just a lot of different measures and a lot of different metrics. All right, I think we should go on to the next part. Okay, so here we wanted to talk a little bit more about the report cards. The report cards in pre-K look a little different than the report cards for our K to 12 students. So students in pre-K don't receive progress reports. Instead, our teachers will be communicating with parents and families regularly through student work, pictures and videos, and parent-teacher conferences, just to name a few. Our students do receive a quarterly report card. So your report cards will be sent home with your pre-K students every quarter, and they will get either a P, an I, or an N. P is proficient, I is in process, and N is needs improvement. And so our teachers calculate these grades in many ways. So one of the ways is that ELA that we talked about earlier. Again, teachers are watching to see what students are doing and how they are learning and how they are progressing. So in pre-K, we are looking at your child's growth over the course of the year. So we want to see where they come in, and we really want to see them build onto these skills so that when they leave us and get ready to go to kindergarten, that they are ready for kindergarten. And so what you're going to see on the report card is you may see an N at the beginning of the year for your pre-K student, and that is totally fine. That just means that maybe your student hasn't mastered that skill yet, and that's okay. That's why they're in pre-K. We hope that over the course of the year, maybe what your student needed improvement on in the beginning of the year, that they will be proficient in by the end of the school year. That's what we're looking for. Our goal is to see improvement. Our goal is to see growth. And finally, the final grades that we calculate in pre-K are based on the final quarter. So traditionally, a report card is kind of an average of everything that the student has done throughout the course of the year. In pre-K, we don't do it that way. We really want to see how the student is ending the year. How they came in, that's okay. That's good to look at too, but we really want to see growth for our students. So that's what we're going to look at. We want to look at their progress because we want to make sure that we are sending our pre-K students off to kindergarten ready to learn. Attendance. This is one of my favorite topics because attendance is so important. So we're going to talk about attendance. Is it important in pre-K? Well, I don't know, maybe because they're just playing. No, it is so important. We know that play is important. We know that that's the best way for children to learn. And we know that when kids show up and come to school, that they are that much more ready to succeed. So too many student absences keep us from succeeding. So we want to make sure that kids are coming to school, they're coming every day, and they're coming on time. Next slide. So we wanted to show you this slide to show what too many absences looks like. Now, if you'll look at this calendar, those kind of red dots are absences. 2 absences a month, it really doesn't feel like that many, but 2 absences a month technically counts as 10% of school days missed, and that technically counts as being chronically absent. So we don't want our students to be chronically absent. We want our students to come to school. We want them to come on time. Even when students are late and missing a significant portion of the day, it's just not conducive to the learning environment. So we want to make sure that kids are coming to school. Now, if your child is sick, obviously we want you to stay home. We have learned that in this pandemic, if you are sick, stay home. But if your child is healthy and you're healthy, please send them to school and please come on time. Just being there really is setting them up for success. And as we talked about earlier, really pre-K is the foundation for so much. So the routines and the habits that we get into in pre-K really are what's going to last with us when they're in 5th grade and they're in 9th grade, and they're in 12th grade. So we want to make sure that coming to school on time every day is a habit. And then here are a couple more facts about pre-K and about attendance that you may not want to see, but we're going to show it to you anyways, because it is that important. So the bottom line is, please come to school. Please come every single day. If you are struggling with coming to school, if you're having some challenges, every single one of our schools has a social worker that you can reach out to. Some of our schools have community school coordinators or Judy Center coordinators. So you could always reach out to those folks within your school community if you're having some struggles. So please let us know, because we want to do everything that we can to make sure that our kids are in school every day and that they are ready to rock and roll. All right, I think we have some more questions. You guys have been awesome with these questions today and asked really great questions.
Okay, so I'm seeing a few questions here about how to register for school. Some saying they've found their zone school, but would like to know how to proceed from there.
All right, so if you figured out what your zone school is, you can register a couple of ways. One, which through the online registration link. So you'll want to make sure you gather all of your documents ahead of time. You'll need your birth certificate, proof of income, immunization records, and then you'll want maybe like 20 to 30 minutes to just sit down so you can fill out that application. So that's one way that you can make sure that you're registering. I would also call your school and see if your school is doing anything in person. Some of our schools are having kind of weekly events where they are registering folks on the spot. So once you figure out what your zone school is, maybe give them a call and see what they're doing. Maybe they have something that's coming up next week that you can go take all of your documents and that you'd be able to register in person. So those are two of the best ways that you can register.
Great. Will every school have a nurse?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that question, but we can find that out for you.
All right. Do pre-K students take naps?
Oh, naps in pre-K. This is a little bit controversial. So we don't nap in pre-K in Baltimore City. We do rest because we know that many of our students they were just 3 and they were just at home with their parents. And we know that many 3-year-olds do take naps throughout the course of the day. So sometimes, especially in the beginning of the school year, our students are a little tired, particularly after like recess time, around that 1 o'clock time. Some of our students start to get a little sleepy. So if students fall asleep, it's totally fine. But we do want to get to the point where we can build up their stamina. So you'll see many schools will have maybe like a quiet time or a rest time. So the teacher may turn the lights off, play some soft music, do some quiet activities, just so that students can relax a little bit so they can get recharged for the second half of the day, but no official nap time.
Okay. Can pre-K students ride the school bus?
Oh, so in city schools, we actually don't have a school bus. There are some students who do get transportation because that is a related service on their IEP, but otherwise, we don't have school buses for our students.
What do we do in regards to children with food allergies?
So if your child has a food allergy, you should contact your school and they will kind of give you a form from our food and nutrition office that you can fill out to indicate what your child's allergy is. Our food and nutrition office is phenomenal and they are really great about making sure that they can meet the needs of each one of our students.
Excellent. I'm seeing a lot of other really great questions in the chat, but many of them are school specific. So if you've asked a question and it's not something that we've been able to answer so far, please do take that question back to your school and be sure that you're asking when you're enrolling your child. And those are all the ones that I see that we can answer right now, Crystal. So if we'd like to keep moving.
All right. Oh, and look, we have another game. Okay, so we've got one more Kahoot. Are you guys still there? Are you still hanging in with us? I hope you are. All right, so let's click on this one and see what we're gonna learn this time. Oh, I'm on mute. Oh my goodness. All right, is everybody still there? All right, we're gonna get that up for you guys in 1 second. Or if not, we'll just skip it. It's cool. Okay, we'll come back to that one. Email us, we'll send you guys that one. All right, let's see, were there any questions that happened in the chat that we didn't get to? Again, thank you, Betsy. If you have some really school-specific questions, I would encourage you to reach out to your principal for those questions. We do have a survey for you guys because we want to hear from you. We want to know who you are. In the Office of Early Learning, we do a lot of parent workshops. We are constantly trying to do events to connect our families together. So if you could fill out this survey, it's in that previous slide, and we'd love to hear from you so that we can follow up with you. If you have some additional questions, that's the best way to reach out to us. So you can click on that link or follow that link, and we will be able to get in contact with you. And then on the next slide, we've got all of our contact information. We're all over social media right now. You've probably seen a ton of pictures of our summer program, Camp Curiosity, that's happening right now. It is a STEAM-focused program for our rising pre-K and our rising kindergarten students. They have been having an amazing time doing hands-on activities all summer long. You'll also probably see some of our schools doing the Great Pre-K Challenge. And like I said, we have seen some amazing songs and TikToks, and I think we did The Floor is Lava. That one was pretty cool too. But we really want to thank you all for hanging in with us today, and we hope to see you in 2 weeks for our second town hall, where we'll talk about how to get ready for pre-K. All right, I hope you guys have a really great evening. Have a great afternoon.